Hey everyone, I finished watching the next Wild Force episode, Power Play. I think that was the name of it. Let me look. Yep, Power Play. And my disc fell apart. I'm gonna have to fix that later. Okay, anyway, summary for the episode. Princess Shayla is reminiscing about her and Merrick. It's really clear that she has some feelings for him, and she's hoping that he'll join the other Rangers up on the Animarium at some point. And then we see what Merrick is doing, wandering around and finding himself this little diner out in the middle of nowhere. He sees this pool table, and so he takes out his Wild Zord crystals and starts playing pool with them. Okay. I kind of thought these things were like supposed to be important or something, and you're playing pool with them. Like I guess they're durable, but okay, whatever. So anyway, these tough biker guys come in. One of them is an idiot who just kind of repeats what the other ones say. Was he supposed to be like Skull or something? Because he didn't make me think of Skull until like a little like bit ago when I was thinking about it. So that was weird. Okay, anyway, they start harassing the diner owner, and Merrick stands up to them, and we cut to the end of a fight that had apparently led outside. He just, yeah, beats them up and they leave. It's pretty rare to see Power Rangers actually show humans fighting other humans. Yeah, not something you see often. So then the diner owner offers him free meals and a spare room in exchange for helping him out around the place. Merrick accepts, and then the owner tells him he needs new clothes because he's still wearing the Animarium Warrior thing. So then, let's see, we see Master Org, who's mad about something. Jindrax doesn't know where Toxica is, and he doesn't really care because he's like, hey, I'm gonna launch an attack on my own. So then he's attacking the Rangers, and then a new org shows up, Necronomica, and she has a kind of familiar voice. Huh. Anyway, at the diner, Merrick senses what's going on. He zips out to defeat the new org. He meets up with the Rangers who are there already. He drives away the new org, and then Jindrax leaves just because, I guess. Um, Merrick still doesn't want to join the Rangers, and Alyssa gives him that shred of fabric from Zanaku's robe that Zanaku had used to bandage her leg that one time that she got hurt. Merrick looks at it, and let's see, I'm not quite sure if he fully remembers what he did as Zanaku. Like, I think it's all clear in his head, which is part of the reason why he's so conflicted. It's kind of weird they don't bring that back in this episode. It is a nice little nod to continuity. I do really like that. So anyway, he walks away, and then up on the Animarium, the Wolf Zord talks to Shayla, and then Taylor calls the other Rangers together and says, I think Shayla and Merrick were in love in the past, and all the other Rangers are like, what, really? And, it kinda pays off later, I guess. I don't know. Whatever, anyway, back to the thing. Jindrax is attacking this time. This time he has a new org with him, a boombox org with a really annoying voice. Merrick shows up to destroy the org. He destroys the org, but then Necronomica appears. And then the Wolf Zord shows up and turns into a motorcycle for Merrick. And so with his motorcycle, him and the Rangers defeat Necronomica, who turns out to actually have been Toxica in like a powered up form. Jindrax asks her why and how she transformed, and she tells him that last episode or whenever, when Nazor was defeated, Nazor's crown gave her new powers. Okay, is this gonna be a thing, dropping new powers out of nowhere, like the wolf mask that ultimately turned out to be meaningless? Whatever. Anyway, she tells Jindrax that she wanted to get a power up to try and discover Master Org's true identity, and she drops an important clue here that when I'm around him, I can smell human. Or maybe that's in the preview for the next episode. I don't remember now. I watched the episode like yesterday, and I've had like 2 full days of work since then. So forgive me if my brain is a little fuzzy on this. Anyway, Jindrax still is like, oh, what do you mean, Master Org's true identity? He's Master Org. And she's like, oh, whatever. And so then she zaps Boombox Org, makes it grow. The Rangers and Merrick use their Megazords to blow up the Org again. And then Merrick tells the Rangers, again, that he's not going to be on the Animarium, but he will help them when they need it. And then Taylor tosses him his own Wild Force civilian uniform. He puts it on as he turns around. We see emblazoned on the back a howling wolf. Really cool. Not conspicuous at all. Do they have secret identities in Wild Force? I can't remember. Next episode has some, like, human civilians, so I guess we'll see, uh, through that. Anyway, this episode is a big focus on Merrick. We slowly get to see a little bit more of his personality. I really like the diner owner guy and Merrick's interaction. It's kind of too bad he's not gonna be around all that much longer. Like, he shows up once in a while, I think, throughout the series, but for the most part, after this, he's not really a big character anymore. I don't remember. If he is, I'll be surprised, but I don't seem to remember him being a big part. So, let's see. Oh yeah, one of the weird things, and I completely misremembered this, and I never thought anything of it. When I was a kid, I thought the diner was a bar. It's like, it feels like it was intended to be a bar. Everything about it says bar. There's bikers, the way the guy, like, runs it, the stuff in it. There's a jukebox, there's a pool table, there's, like, a neon sign. It looks like a bar. So all I could guess is that must be originally, when they were doing the show, the intention originally was, yep, this is a bar, but then somewhere, like, at the last minute, someone was like, oh wait, this is Power Rangers, this is Fox Kids, or ABC Family Kids, whatever. We can't show a bar in a kid's show. So they were like, oh, whoops. So they quickly redressed it to be a diner, kind of, but they still had to have the pool table because pool is kind of a theme to Merrick's powers because, I don't know, whatever. Oh, also, interesting thing, there's a bunch of A&W root beer cans on the counter. One of the biker guys comes in and drinks one. That is really rare to see, like, licensed products in Power Rangers. That almost never happens. Way back in, like, Mighty Morphin, I think occasionally you'd see, like, name brand stuff slip in. Um, like, it was especially in the original Saban era seasons where you would see, like, little things in the background occasionally that were name brands. Once Disney took over, and also partially because the show was in New Zealand, I guess it was a lot easier to just avoid all that. And in the Neo Saban era, it's the same way, although now they, like, go out of their way to alter things. Like in Dino Charge, I remember there's a Nike swoosh logo on a bag, and they, like, painted legs and arms on it and made it into a little dinosaur. And then in Megaforce, Super Megaforce, I think it's Super. I don't remember. I think it was the episode of Super Megaforce where Jaden and Mentor G show up, and they have their own motorcycles, and they have, like, a piece of tape just crappily covering the Harley Davidson logo. I think they might have done that in Samurai also. So yeah, it's really rare to see, like, name brand stuff in Power Rangers. I don't really know why. I don't know if it's because they would have to pay, or maybe because, like, the companies don't want to be associated with it or something. Who knows? The movie got to have Krispy Kreme, and now that's, like, one of the big things everybody remembers about it for some reason, even though it was such a relatively minor thing. It's just so, like, out of place, I guess, to hear a name brand thing or see a name brand thing that it really stands out and seems bigger than it is. So anyway, the other interesting thing I wanted to talk about was on Ranger Wiki. I went to Ranger Wiki after watching the episode because I wrote my notes down here, and then I couldn't think of anything, like, to write in, like, the analytical part and the little extras after the summary. So I went to Ranger Wiki hoping I could find some interesting trivia or something, and there really wasn't anything that was too interesting. But in the errors, for some reason, as an error, they list that the Boombox Org's shoulders say Olgu. And that's it. That's the whole entry. It just says the Boombox Org's shoulders say Olgu. There's no context for why that's an error. If I didn't know anything about Japanese, if I didn't know anything about Gao Ranger or Sentai, or the fact that Power Rangers is adapted from Sentai, and that, or where the monsters come from, I wouldn't think anything of the monster having OLGU on its shoulders, because, like, monsters having random words written on them, that goes all the way back to Mighty Morphin. Like, especially in Mighty Morphin, there were a ton of monsters with stuff written on them for no reason. There's no reason given. There's no logical reason why it should be there. There's no practical reason why it's there. It's just there. And for the most part, Power Ranger fans just accept it. But for some reason, this stood out, and I'm thinking the reason is because Olgu is a mistranslation of the word org, because of the way Japanese words are written. Org can be written out in English in a few different ways, considering how you interpret the Japanese alphabet. Yeah, it's complicated. I tried to learn the Japanese alphabet, and it was a little too complicated. It's similar to the American alphabet, although there's like some sounds that have like their own symbols, and yeah, I won't go into all that. But anyway, Olgu is a way you can write org, even though it's technically wrong if you're to pronounce it with American English sensibilities. So, anyway, but the weird thing is, I don't even know if it's actually a mistranslation or if they wanted it to be like that because they wanted it to be 4 letters so that it would look like Sony. Because I'm thinking the idea was it was supposed to look like the Sony logo, kind of. 4 letters, Olgu. If they just had org, that also would be kind of weird because there's not many other orgs that have English written out on them that just say org. I'm sure there's some out there here and there somewhere, but uh, I'm thinking it was possibly intentional that it says Olgu, or it was intentional not because they wanted it to specifically look like Sony. Maybe they just thought, oh, Olgu is a way to translate org into English, and we just think it looks good on the monster. So it might not even have been an error or yeah. So anyway, this was an okay episode, a good focus for Merrick. I like the diner setting. It's a neat setting for Power Rangers. I kind of wish we'd get to see more of it throughout the series. Uh, Toxica's transformed form we'll get to see more of kind of later on. I don't really like that form that much, but whatever. I didn't really have a whole lot to say about this episode, which is why I went on forever about the Olgu thing on Ranger Wiki. So, yeah, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.